Hello, and welcome to the November release for AWS Glue Scanner Updates. Today, we're going to be going over the Amazon Glue Scanner in the Metadata Command Center, what that looks like from a connection standpoint, and what the scanner looks like in the MCC. We'll reserve the catalog view for a later lesson. That said, the agenda for today is going to focus first on creating the connection for an Amazon Glue resource, then into the prerequisites for scanning, which are a combination of both Amazon Athena and Amazon Glue necessities, and then the actual creation of the scanner from the metadata command center. As I mentioned, we're going to be starting in the administrator. We've navigated down to the connections page, and here I'm just going to review a basic Amazon Athena type scanner. The Amazon Athena connection is what's going to be used when we're actually connecting to AWS Glue. And once this loads, we can see that we have the connection name and a few details. We'll go into the edit for a closer view, and we can see that we have details of the connection properties and what they mean on the right side of the screen, and the actual connection details that we're providing on the left. I've just called this Amazon Athena. We've selected the type, a valid runtime environment, and the only authentication type that we're providing at this point is the IAM credentials. Here, the access key and secret key are optional, but we're providing the JDBC URL as such. We're going to take a detour into the documentation here. This is the AWS Glue source information for both permissions, privileges, and connection details. Since we've already created the connection, which is based on Amazon Athena, we're going to look into the permissions and privileges that we need set first. A link to this information is also going to be provided at the end of the video. So we'll want to make sure that the administrator can create a user account for the Informatica user, configure the read permissions of the AWS Glue source for the user account, and that we've granted the below IAM permissions to the user to access all user-defined databases. It should be noted that what's provided for the AWS Glue is not actually going to be enough. We also want to look at the Amazon Athena because we're basing this on the Athena connection. And I've tabbed over to the Amazon Athena page where we are configuring the same permissions. Here for Glue, here for Athena, and the same S3 privileges that were mentioned earlier. As the documentation notes, we'll want to make sure that we grant those privileges for the information schema and for all user-defined databases that you actually want to scan over. Now that we have our connection and our prerequisites set, we'll want to get into the metadata command center to look at the Glue resource. I've brought it up over here. This is from the same Chiclet hub, choosing metadata command center, and that will take you to the home page. From there, we can select new catalog source, and I've gone ahead and selected an AWS Glue source. I've gone ahead and named this Glue test, and we can look at the catalog source type, which is already predefined for us as AWS Glue. The Athena connection is going to be the same Amazon Athena that I made in the administrator. And then below are the access key, security key, and region that are defined for what you're scanning. Here I'm choosing not to use the EC2 rule to assume roles, though that is an option present. We can hit next from there to get further into configuration, where I can then select a valid runtime environment. And for us, this is our default. We have the same options that are available for our other scanners to retain or delete metadata change options. Whether we choose to retain, then every scan that we make is going to preserve the information that's already in the catalog. If we choose to delete, then every new scan is going to be the entirety of that resource's information in the catalog. We can then provide filter conditions for what we want to scan, whether we include or exclude metadata, the job name of the object type that we want to include, and then give a wildcard identifier for what we'd want to scan. Further down, we have other configuration parameters, the amount of runs per job. If you don't specify a value, the latest job run is used. We also have the ability to add filters for preloads or whether to include or exclude those values. From there, we can also associate and schedule the job, and that will conclude what we need to run a job on the metadata command center side. In summary, we've gone over the creation, prerequisites, and necessary information for setting up job for an AWS Glue source, but more information can be found at the below resources. The first links to the November release information specifically, and then the second two provide information for the Athena connection as well as for the AWS Glue connection, which will then link to the Athena catalog configuration information as well, so that both of those prerequisites are covered. We'd love to hear from you at either of the below sources, and thank you for your time today.